Hello and welcome to VNews Daily Bulletin. And now the headlines as usual.
Prime Minister Nguyễn Tấn Dũng visits Philippines and attends World Economic Forum for East Asia. Top Vietnamese and U.S. diplomats discuss issue. International Exhibition Fair on Environment and Energy Technology opens in Hanoi.
Prime Minister Nguyễn Tấn Dũng on May 21st led a Vietnamese delegation to the Philippines to visit the country and attend the World Economic Forum for East Asia.
Prime Minister Dũng held talks with Philippine President Benigno Aquino. The two sides agreed to increase their two-way trade to $3 billion by 2016 and encourage businesses to raise their cooperation in culture, education and healthcare, among others. They decided to set up a joint working team to build a roadmap for advancing toward a strategic partnership. On the EC issue, they called on international community to ask China abide by international law. Prime Minister Dũng is to deliver a speech at the opening session of the forum and join as a special guest the forum's discussion sessions on Asian Growth Initiative on agriculture and food security and on speeding up the ASEAN economic community through the public-private partnership. He will share a dialogue with executives of some international groups and companies participating in the event. Themes leveraging growth for equitable progress, this year's forum will seek ways to advance models for sustainable growth and recognize regional connectivity.
Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister Phạm Bình Minh on May 21st had a telephone conversation with U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry regarding bilateral ties between Vietnam and the U.S. and the recent developments in the East Sea.
Minh affirmed Vietnam stands ready to coordinate with the U.S. in implementing concrete measures to further boost bilateral relations in line with the two countries' comprehensive partnership. He informed John Kerry about the latest developments in the sea relating to China's placement of its drilling rig in Vietnam's exclusive economic zone and continental shelf. The official affirmed that Vietnam has exercised restraint and persistently pursued dialogues to avoid conflicts. The U.S. Secretary of State appreciated Vietnam's restraint and willingness in the issue. He expressed his deep concerns about the recent developments in the sea, describing China's position of the Arctic as provocative, escalating tensions in the region. He reiterated the U.S. stance in settling the issue peacefully on the basis of international law, including the 1982 United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea.
Prime Minister Nguyễn Tấn Dũng has laid out a set of actions in support of enterprises hurt by a recent social disorder in some localities. He asked ministries and agencies nationwide to roll them out as soon as possible.
The rioting erupted in protest of China's illegal dispatch of its oil rig in Vietnam's continental shelf and exclusive economic zone since early May. Ministries, authorities and workers are requested to stay united to share common interests. Relevant units will work with affected companies in a constructive manner, jointly implementing every proper support measure. The Prime Minister asked the People's Committees of affected countries and provinces to send officials to work directly with each enterprise to grasp the real situation. The People's Committees of provinces and centrally run cities are to apply exemption or reduction in land rent fees for damaged enterprises. The involved firms will be given reduction in their import and export duty rates and favorable conditions in their import-export activities. They will also receive value-added tax refunds or a reduction for their uncompensated input goods and services, even in case of no receipts. A maximum 30% of reduction in special consumption tax for 2014 will also be applied.
China's placement of a giant oil rig into Vietnam's exclusive economic zone and continental shelf has continued to face opposition by both Vietnamese and international communities. Our reporters have more. The Vietnamese Association in Cuba has expressed its indignation against China in a letter sent to the Central Committee of the Vietnam Fatherland Front. In Luanda, Angola, a meeting was held to object China's provocative act in the East Sea, drawing the participation of about 200 Vietnamese people and some Angola's friends. Meanwhile, in Busan, the Republic of Korea, nearly 3,000 Vietnamese took part in a demonstration, raising high banners asking China to remove its oil rig from Vietnam's waters. Together with local people, the Hoa or Chinese people community in the southern province of Long An has expressed their annoyance about China's illegal actions. China's placement of its drilling rig in Vietnam's waters is an illegal act. China needs to respect Vietnam's sea and island sovereignty and the friendship between the two countries. Tân An City is home to more than 1,000 Chinese people.
Inside Vietnamese,
in a recent interview to Vietnam news agency, Professor Carl Thayer, an expert on the East Sea for the Australian Defence Force Academy, said China's actions were unexpected, provocative and illegal.
It's unexpected because ever since October last year, when Premier Lee Keqiang visited Vietnam, relations moved into a new positive direction in many, many areas. And there's nothing that Vietnam has done to provoke this. So it's unexpected. The relations were very, very good. It's provocative because it's the first time that China has placed a large oil rig in the exclusive economic zone of any country without permission. And further, it started with many, many ships, now over 100, including armed warships. So that's provocative. And illegal because China is not basing its claim on international law.
Meanwhile, Dr. Tomotaka Shoji from the Japanese Defense Ministry's National Institute of Defense Studies said China's act is part of a strategy to raise its influence and control over the East Sea. However, the move will cause many losses to China, the greatest of which is its marred relations with Vietnam and with ASEAN in general, he added. Tensions in the East Sea drew the special attention of delegates at the 8th ASEAN Defense Ministers meeting in Myanmar on May 20th. At the meeting, the ministers expressed their hope that the tensions will be resolved by peaceful means on the basis of international law. The Vietnam Coast Guard Command said as of May 20th, China maintained the presence of more than 90 ships of various kinds defending the oil rig, several of which kept approaching and attacking Vietnamese ships on their law enforcement missions. Meanwhile, some Chinese fishing vessels accompanied armed ships to hinder the operations of Vietnamese boats. However, the force said the Vietnam Coast Guard continued to persistently demand China to recall its oil rig and ships out of Vietnam's waters. Vietnam's 19 best anti-corruption initiatives were awarded in Hanoi on May 20th and will receive funding to be more widely enforced.
Co-organized by the Government Inspectorate and the World Bank, the 2014 Vietnam Anti-Corruption Initiative Program was sponsored by the UK's Department for International Development and the Iris Red Program. Under the theme Strengthening Transparency, Public Integrity and Accountability, 12 of the winners are new initiatives. The remainders are continuing projects that won previous programs. Each of them will receive a maximum of $40,300 for implementation, based on the suggestions of their creators. This year's designated funding totals $261,900. Launched in December 2013, the program is the third event of the Vietnam Anti-Corruption Initiatives series to honor and support anti-corruption efforts in the community. The series assisted 34 projects in 2011 and 24 others in 2013.
Trade continued to shine in the economic picture in the first 4 months of this year, with both domestic and foreign trade maintaining a high growth.
According to the General Statistics Office, total retail sales of goods and service revenue reached almost 940 trillion Vietnam dong in the first 4 months of 2014, up 10.5% from the same period last year. Excluding prices, growth reached 5.5%. Economic analysts says This should be viewed as initially encouraging results of inflation control and macroeconomic stability in 2014. The achievements were attributed to the bumper winter-spring rice crop, large seafood catches, and effective cattle and poultry disease control. A balance of trade surplus in terms of both value and growth was recorded. According to the statistics, goods worth almost $45.74 billion were exported in the first 4 months of 2014, an increase of 16.9% over the same time last year. Goods worth nearly $45.1 billion were imported during the same period, up 13.7% from the same time in 2013. Telephone, textile and garment, footwear, seafood, machinery and equipment, means of transport, wood product and coffee exports in the first 4 months of 2014 expanded by 15 to 30% over the same time last year.
Producers and research institutes from both home and abroad are showcasing their energy-saving equipment and pollution reduction technologies at an exhibition which will end in Hanoi on May 21st.
The 2014 International Exhibition Fair on Environment and Energy Technology witnessed the participation of domestic businesses and universities and those from Japan, the Republic of Korea, and Europe. The 3-day event looks to accelerate the technology transfer between markets as well as improve the efficiency of using natural energy and resources. Notably, participating firms are also displaying environmentally friendly products powered by renewable and clean energy, including wind and solar energy, in addition to advanced waste treatment technologies.
World Bank Country Director Victoria Kwa has affirmed that comprehensive investment into early childhood education across Vietnam will help the country narrow the development gap among regions.
The World Bank official made the remark at a forum in Hanoi on May 20th. The event drew representatives from such international organizations as UNICEF, Save the Children and Child Fund, along with nursery teachers from 30 provinces. She further said that developing early childhood education will create equality of opportunity, since this is the base for children's learning in the future. Deputy Minister of Education and Training Nguyễn Thị Nghĩa said despite existing difficulties, Vietnam's preschool education has covered almost all communes, helping improve the quality of childcare. At the end of the 2012-2013 academic year, Vietnam had more than 30,300 nursery schools, 88% of which are run by the state, with more than 161,400 teachers. At the forum, participants discussed the preschool curriculum, the role of families and the community in childcare, and education for children in ethnic minority groups.
A ceremony marking the 20th anniversary of Hạ Long Bay's recognition as a UNESCO World Heritage Site will be held on October 14 by the northern coastal province of Quảng Ninh. The information was announced at a press briefing in Hạ Long City on May 20th.
The event will include various activities such as an international workshop, lectures and photo competitions on Hạ Long's heritage, along with exchange programs between other World Heritage Sites in Vietnam. A yearbook on the 20th anniversary and a document film entitled Hạ Long Bay 20 Years of World Natural Heritage will be introduced to the public on this occasion. In addition, a march will take place to call for the preservation and promotion of heritage values, while an environmental day and writing and painting contests about the heritage sites will also be launched. On December 17, 1994, the Hạ Long Bay was officially listed as a World Heritage Site with globally outstanding value in terms of natural landscape by UNESCO. In 2000, the bay was additionally recognized for its special value on geography geomorphology. In 2009, it was ranked as a National Specific Heritage Site by Prime Minister Nguyễn Tấn Dũng. In 2011, it surpassed 261 other landscapes around the world to be voted as one of 7 new natural wonders of the world.
And that's the end of our program. Thank you for watching and see you next time.